my name is Mackenzie. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for being here. Today we are doing a new type of video that you're going to be seeing on my channel this year. 2023 is the year of the spoiled rap. Now, I kind of just came up with this because I was reading The It Girl by Ruth Ware, and I decided I was going to DNF it, but I didn't want to not tell you exactly why I wasn't DNFing it, but why I was DNFing it was a spoiler. And then I read some Goodreads reviews, and some of it was spoiler as well. So I was like, you know what? I want to share this. I want everyone to experience the spoils of my wrap up. So that's what we're doing. So this video is kind of it's gonna be cut clips of me after I finish each book, spoiling it in some way, shape, or form. Now that might be just spoiling certain scenes I do or do not like, maybe spoiling the ending, it may be spoiling a twist. Some of them, like the one for the Heartstopper yearbook, is really not a spoiler at all, because how do you spoil an art book? Regardless, this is my first video of this, so I'm trying out a few things. I'm trying to determine exactly what I'm looking to share with you guys, but just so you are aware, every book that I'm going to be talking about moving forward, I am spoiling it in some way, shape, or form. So I will have the video time-stamped, so you can look in the description and see all of the books that I'm going to be talking about and where you can see it in the video, and then you can jump to wherever you want to be. So if you just want to see certain spoilers for the books that you've read, you can jump around and see those as well. Enjoy this video, and I will see you back here for the outro. It is November 25th at 9:59 p.m. I have been reading Ruth Ware's The It Girl since earlier this morning. This was published in 2022 by Simon & Schuster. I typically love a Ruth Ware. My first experience with Ruth Ware, I was just going through this with my husband, was when I read In a Dark, Dark Wood while I was at the DMV some years ago, and I loved it. And since then, I've had pretty good success with Ruth Ware's. I recently hated One by One and also The Lion Game, so I was pretty apprehensive about this one, and I got 52 pages in. This is told in a dual timeline perspective, a before and after, the signifying event being April's death. April is the It Girl, and our main character is Hannah, and I will let you know that I have not been vibing with this. This has been kind of garbage. At first I was like, is this my own internalized misogyny? Because the before timeline is kind of dark academia-esque, where there is like a fish out of water character who is interested in kind of joining an elite group in her academic society, and I typically love those stories. And I was like, okay, is this because it's a female and I don't like when females are portrayed as weak or stupid? Highly possible. And then I was trying to like get through this chapter, and then the main character Hannah, her current husband Will, and April are all part of this scene, and like Hannah like thinks that she and Will are hitting it off, and she goes to like talk to him, only to walk in on him and April making out, and she leading him to her dorm, and like now Hannah and Will are married, and I'm like, you know what, I don't know how much I'm liking this right now. So I have decided to go on to Goodreads right now. You can't see that. That was garbage. Why did I do that? I'm on Goodreads right now on my Chromebook, and I'm gonna read some reviews because we're at that point. So we've got 5 stars. Well-written, gripping, action-packed dark academia thriller. I'm not getting those vibes. Dark academia a little bit. To a smart dark academia... I don't know how smart it is. The opening scene of this elite group, they're playing strip poker. Like, this is definitely not a secret history dark academia. 3.5 stars. Intrigued by the premise, mostly liked how it played out towards the end, but it's also 70 to 100 pages longer than Ware's other books, and it feels like it. That's That's what I'm talking about. There was like 5 pages of her being at a park. I get that she's pregnant. Why does she have to be at the park? Why does everything have to be described at the park? Book is boring. It dragged on forever. Did not enjoy the ride. This was a 4-star review, but she still said, poor Hannah. I might have liked her a wee bit better if she didn't sound like a raving maniac shrew. Hard agree. I love Imogen Church. She's the narrator for Ruth Ware's books mostly, but what she did with Hannah and what she did with the main character in One by One, garbage. Hated it. Disgusting. Meg has read all of the other Ruth Wares. Holy shit, she gave The Lying Game 4.5 stars. Oh, Meg. Here's the thing. It's Megs_bookrack is traveling for Turkey. Oh, good for you. She has also read all of Ruth Ware's books, and this is how I'm going to decide that I am putting this motherfucker down until somebody convinces me otherwise. Meg read all of them, and her rating, one, like top to bottom, and I swear to God to you, mine is almost literally the opposite, except Turn of the Key is a little bit higher, and this one's a straight DNF. It's not happening. So thank you all for coming to my TED Talk. I'm putting this down. I can't come out. I'm sick. So I finished this one. I like completely stopped tabbing it because it's lame. So our main character, her name is Hazel, and she consistently acts like she is from modern times and that the like time period and gender norms and expectations don't apply to her very consistently, and I hate that. And then at the end, when she can finally save Jack by giving him the like elixir of life that Dr. Beecham has, and she gives it to him, and he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna take it, and even if I do, I don't want you to follow me because you can't give up your life for me. Like, that's facts, but also don't tell a woman what she can and cannot do. And also, if she's giving you eternal life, maybe you give her the best like lifetime that she's gonna have, right? And then at the end, okay, so fine, like she gives him the thing, she doesn't know if he's gonna take it, he hangs himself, and she like hopes that he lives. Some indeterminable amount of time after that, in the epilogue, presumably Jack sends her a letter saying, I'm waiting for you. And like the epilogue ends. Okay, dumb. And then also, what do you mean you're waiting for her? I thought you didn't want her to spend her life with you. When the writing is bad, the characters are bad, and the love story is bad. Like, this was so insta-love. How come the first time they spent any amount of time together conversing about not even other things, they were still just talking about dead bodies and science. And like, that first time that they spend a couple of hours together, they're making out, like, I don't get it. I don't approve. This was dumb. It's a duology. I'm not finishing it. That's stupid. Heartstopper Yearbook. Spoiler thoughts on that is, I think if you are not already like a fan of behind the scenes kind of stuff, like if you were the type of kid that liked the behind the scenes on your favorite Disney movies when you were a kid and you would watch those instead of the actual movie, that's for you. I thought it was good. I really enjoyed it because I am a behind the scenes kind of gal. Next. House of Many Ways by Diana Wynne Jones, which is the third in the Howl's Moving Castle series. I don't know why it's called that, because it's not really all about Howl and Sophie and Calcifer and that little trio that we meet in the first book. And I feel like if it was, then this overall series would have done so much better, in my opinion. But it's not. It didn't, and I gave this a 2-star because I have attempted to read it 3 times, and after my 3rd time of actually being able to read it, or after my 3rd attempt, I was able to actually read it, which is great, but it was so bad and pointless, and for what? And I feel like if I were a child and I was given these books, I wouldn't even have attempted to read book 2 and 3 because there's no Howl and Sophie in it. At least not until towards the middle-ish ending, because it's supposed to be like a reveal. So, hate that for me. There is Howl and Sophie and Calcifer in this book, but it's all told from the perspective of a different character who we've never met before, and I hated it. It was truly lackluster. I finished Signal to Noise by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. Absolutely exquisite. I gave it 5 stars. Do I even have words? I love how we follow Meche almost specifically, but we still also get perspectives of like her father and her friends, and how Meche is almost not a good person, and it is her friends that force her to be a good person by taking away her magic from her. I think that was kind of intense and really served to, like, as that was the climax in the ending scenes, I feel like also it kind of matched, because at the end of this book, we are getting the climax of the past and of the present. And the climax of the past is Meche and her friends breaking up. And the climax of the present is her and her friends rekindling and getting back together. And that was such a beautiful storytelling technique. I just absolutely loved it. Like 5 out of 5 stars. Stop it. Hello. We're at my desk because I just don't want to get up. I'm in a nice cozy chair, okay? So you see the microphone? I'm at my desk. Legends and Lattes. The slow progression of Viv and Tandri's romance is too sweet for words. I enjoyed that everything just kind of worked out the way that it should. The climax, while it was exciting with the fire and everything, was really more about Viv coming back together with like her found family and like defeating her imposter syndrome, more than it was about her like getting revenge or bringing that person to justice. And that person is brought to justice, but by the cat eating him. So like it was just so sweet. Like fate just kind of had everything lined up for them, and they kind of talked about that a little bit with the ley lines and like her Scalvert stone, the magic luck stone. But I think a lot of it is just when you put good out into the world, it comes back to you. And I love that was what we were exploring in this sweet little story. Loved this. 4 stars. Ironically, this book really reminded me of A Dowry of Roses in some ways. Like, we follow not Dracula. Okay, she's not a vampire, but she's like a vampire. She has this sickness that they call the hunger, and basically they hunger for excess. And while we could make a ploy, I mean, obviously they did the easy thing and made her kind of vampiric, but really if you strip that away and if all of they're hungering for is excess, we can kind of plainly see that this is supposed to be like a breaking down of like the upper class and like the 1%, the wealthy who everyone turns a blind eye for. Like it was plainly obvious that all of these people were turning a blind eye to Elizabeth killing these blood maids because they were getting so much money to replace them or stay silent. So you could make an absolute argument for that, which I think is kind of Henderson's point in this. But also, so there was, not Dracula, not a vampire. But also we follow like the 3 wives situation. The blood maids aren't wives, obviously, but honestly, Dracula didn't treat his wives like they were real people either, that they had their own desires and wants and needs, and that they deserved to, have choice in their life. So a lot of that is like this. We also have weird polyamory. Not really. It's unhealthy. I'm saying poly in a very unhealthy way, because Elizabeth definitely sleeps with all of these women, but they don't sleep with each other, and they're in fact jealous of each other, but mainly because Elizabeth inspires that jealousy within them and forces them to feel insecure in their position in her heart, basically. We also have this idea that Elizabeth only truly loves Marion, where Dracula really only truly loved Constanza, I believe was her name. Yeah, Constanza. There's that point, and also the end where Marion gets all of the wives, the Bloodmaids' wives together, and is like, it's time to kill, not Dracula. And they're like, you know what? I think you're right. How are we going to do it? And so very A Dowry of Blood. It's also very sexual, but I feel like this, where as opposed to Dowry of Blood, just retelling Dracula in its kind of entirety, not really Dracula, the story by Bram Stoker, but kind of retelling like Dracula, this was more so focused on, like I said, those themes of vampirism that we see in humanity. Still really enjoyed it. 4 stars. One of the coolest parts about reading The Night Circus was reading the 2 timelines and how they eventually intersect together. Obviously, I already know what role Bailey plays in the story. He ends up, you know, meeting Poppet and kind of being the savior of the day and taking over the circus. But it was everything that was leading up to it, how he felt so lost, how he met the revelers, and how at the very end when Celia tells him, "You're not destined or chosen. I wish I could tell you that you were, if that would make it easier, but it's not true. You're in the right place and in the right time, and you care enough to do what needs to be done. And sometimes that's enough." And it's just this beautiful, haunting sadness because Celia and Marco now exist, but exist removed from the physical realm, but they still have the circus and they still have each other. And this whole theme of being stuck or trapped in destiny is only as bad as what your destiny might be, or who you're stuck with, or where you're stuck. I think that theme also does play a little bit and is explored more in the Starless Sea as well. So it's really cool to see it built upon in here. So I didn't expect aliens, but I was really happy when we got aliens. That was super cool. I really enjoyed how a lot of the story was coming together very bluntly, but also I just felt okay with it. Like the aliens, for example. All of a sudden it was just aliens, and here we are. But I also enjoyed how the aliens were the reason that the teacher Satomi was able to escape. It did kind of leave me wanting a little bit more of an explanation as to why that Tremont couldn't follow Satomi up into the stars, into like another realm or galaxy. But I guess I can't care that much because it was just one small moment. And if there's gonna be deals with demons and aliens, I mean, why not make it a little bit more magical in that sense? And welcome back. So, like I said, this video and this concept is still trying to find its sea legs, so thank you for sticking with it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!